Gentlemen, let her come to you. I've had women in the comments say, I would just leave you for another man. Every one of these girls is saying it because the men who have stimulated them the most emotionally were also the men that were the hardest to get a hold of. I'm not saying you should play games. I'm saying you should be busy with your life. But let her come to you. If you're chasing her, if as the man, you've already been out on a date with her, every time you're trying to figure out where you stand with her, this is going to turn her off. Any woman who disagrees with this is lying. Look at their actions, not the words that they are saying. This is literally the only thing I have ever experienced successfully, is allowing the woman to come to you. It has to be her idea. She has so many other options compared to you. If you're always reaching out to her, you're showing that you have nothing else going on in your life. And to women, the most attractive thing about a man to them is his ambition, his decisiveness, the confidence that comes with it. If you're making your life revolve around someone else and they're not even your wife or your long-term partner, chances are you're going to turn them off and push them away. So if there's been a text message exchange going on between the two of you as a man, and you've already sent her a message and nothing's happened, don't double text. If you just finished your date with her, don't call her or message her first. Go focus on your goals and dreams. If she likes you, she will reach out. My success rate with women has been 100% with the women who always reached out to me first. Any time in my life where I reached out first, it always led to a rejection either immediately or inevitably. The success principles that I pass on to everyone listening are based on my own experiences and also from the anecdotal experiences of others. But I can attest to this, and as being someone who's very happy with the way he dates, his relationships, and the women that are in his life, let them come to you.
Spirit eating good and the flesh getting anorexic. I got big plans, I ain't even been to Texas. Ball like I switch hands, you don't know where I'm headed. I don't do the back and forth, nah.
A girl cannot solve your loneliness. And in point of fact, if you're terribly alone and latch on to the wrong girl, she can fucking ruin your fucking life. Not because she's a bad woman, but just because she's incompatible and you latched on to her because you felt so lonely that you figured, well, fuck it, I'll just latch on to her, right? See, a woman cannot solve your loneliness. Other people cannot passively solve your loneliness. The only way to cure your loneliness is to strive towards something greater than yourself, some ideal, some vision that you have. It doesn't have to be such a grandiose vision. It doesn't have to be, you know, conquer the world or some shit like that.
You now have the male feminist. Like, where the fuck did that come from? Just out of nowhere, last couple years. I'm a male feminist. I've always championed women. No, you haven't. You haven't. Anytime I hear a guy say I'm a male feminist, I always just think that is the most pathetic, limp dick way ever to try and get some pussy, right? Like, that is literally the fucking game you had when you were on a first date when you were 16. You were all nervous and your whole game plan was just agree with her. Maybe she'll touch it.
If you're confused by a woman's text messages, this is the best way to interpret them. Don't necessarily look at the words that she's saying, but rather the frequency of how often she replies, the length of her replies, and whether or not she's asking questions or reciprocating. Also, if she's using a lot of emojis, that is usually a good sign. Also, don't text her all day. Set up a date. If this girl is messaging you a lot, why are you getting emotional stimulation from being on your phone? Instead of this, be doing more of this. That's it. Both of you will enjoy it a lot more.
Can women be funny?
Yeah, of course. Will you guys just fucking grow up and just sit down and write your own horse shit and come up with it? Start your own fucking show. Have your own award show. Quit waiting around for other people to do shit for you. That's the fucking problem. And quit your fucking whining. We're all eating a giant shit sandwich out here. Nobody cares. I don't care.
I'm a white
Grow
person.
the fuck up.
Guys, did you know that one of the #1 fantasies women have is around being taken? A lot of women love physical intensity in the bedroom, but a lot of guys are scared to give them that physical intensity for good reason. A lot of guys care and they're afraid to hurt us. But what if you had permission to hurt us? Not that we actually want you to physically hurt us, but what if you could trust us to let you know when you've gone too far? Because in my experience, most guys are more timid than they actually need to be. And if we communicate and I give you feedback along the way, take spanking for example. Give your girl a spank and ask her to give you a number from 1 to 10. 1 being the lowest, 10 being the most intense. Maybe you thought it was a 7, it was actually a 4. If you find out, then you could know how much intensity that you can actually give her and give her the sensation she really wants.
A lot of my friends tell me that they get turned on from giving pleasure. Like, a lot of girls are like that.
Yeah, like girls can literally get wet from s***ing your D.
Yeah, especially if you're reacting in a good way, like, and it'll make her better.
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Like, usually they're like quiet and in their head, and the girl's probably thinking like, what am I doing?
Am I doing it right?
Yeah.
If you're a guy who uses dating apps to meet women, stick around for this one. You see, I have a lot of friends that use dating apps, and they keep encountering the same mistakes that guys make on these apps. So they wanted me to pass along this advice. First and foremost, please be clear about your intentions. If you're just looking for a hookup, say so. There are plenty of women that are okay with that. But there are also a lot of women on these apps that are looking for serious relationships, and when you meet up with them just to hook up but you're not clear about your intentions, it feels like a betrayal and a huge waste of time. And the opposite is true too. If you're looking for a relationship, just say so. Their second piece of advice is that it's going to take more than 5 minutes of chatting for women to want to meet up with you and go on a date. Each woman has their own timeline for this, but generally speaking, we're gonna want to get to know you before we meet you. Not only do we need to make sure you're not a murderer and a rapist, a lot of women need an emotional connection to be truly interested in getting to know you further. If you're seriously interested in the woman you're talking with, it's not a waste of time to keep chatting before meeting. Their next piece of advice was to ask them out for coffee first. The reason that they like coffee dates is because you're not stuck if things get awkward. It's just a cup of coffee. And if you do hit it off, you guys can extend the date or schedule a second date. You could say something like, hey, we've been chatting for a little while now, and I noticed we have a lot in common. Would you like to meet for coffee and see if we have that same spark in person? And if not, no worries. But you have to mean the no worries part too. That's another caveat. About that no worries part, they're finding that when they do say no, that they're not interested, a lot of guys immediately resort to calling them fat or body shaming them in some other way, calling them a whore, a slut, whatever. That's not cool. Stop doing that. And their last piece of advice, if you're not feeling a romantic spark, just say so. We would rather you be honest with us than string us along. And a little bonus piece of advice from me. If you're not feeling things romantically with this person, don't count them out entirely. If you can see yourself being legitimate friends with them, not putting yourself in the friend zone, but like actual friends, tell them, we love having more friends.
Here are 6 books that every man should read. The earlier, the better. One is a combination of 2 books. The Way of the Superior Man by David Deida, and the second one is The Rational Male by Rollo Tomasi. You want to read these 2 books together because they're going to give you an insight into the relationship between masculine and feminine, men and women. So basically relationships. But make sure you read them together, because if you read one without the other, it's going to make you a little bit too skewed. Number 2, Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. This is just going to teach you that mentality, that dog, that grit that every man needs in life to succeed. Number 3, The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. All of Robert Greene's books are good, but if you're gonna start somewhere, start with The 48 Laws of Power. This is gonna give you insight to the game. When I say the game, I'm talking about the social game. You know, the few tips and tricks that you might need on your way to accumulate power. Number 4, Hard Times Create Strong Men by Stefan Arnio. This book is sort of like a cultural history lesson on what masculinity used to be, what it became, and where we're headed. This is an excellent book. And number 5, The King, the Warrior, the Magician, and the Lover, that's the title, by Robert Moore. What this is, it's an insight into masculine psychology through the lens of Carl Jung. This book saved my life, and it taught me the different archetypes that a man must embody in order to be considered whole.
And women out here wonder why there's a huge group of men that are done dating and done with relationships. Because that man is not impressed. He actually thinks that lady now is probably the most unattractive person in the room. And now he understands that women can be extremely disloyal, even right before she's about to marry a man. And over time, if he has enough of these experiences, he'll probably become one of those guys that don't want a relationship and just want to chill in peace. Women will oftentimes become physically attracted through emotional connection. But what's funny is that many women don't even realize this until they're lucky enough to find somebody that they have that connection with, and he just by chance doesn't look like a Ken doll. And most men don't believe that this can happen because they work in the reverse way. They need to be physically attracted to a girl in order to get that connection. So if you're a man that's harsh on yourself because you don't have the looks that you think it takes to get a certain girl, it's not the end all be all. This is your sign. Go for the girl.
To the men who try to scare and threaten women with the line, "That's why you're going to end up alone." That's not our biggest fear. We're more afraid of ending up with someone like you.
Hi, Dan. I just moved in next door. I'm a supermodel.
I don't care who the IRS sends. I am not paying taxes.
So someone hurt you and you want to know how to get them back, right? Even if it's petty, how can I make them feel something? Let me tell you something. The fact is, anything that you do from this point forward just shows how much you still care. If you think that anything you say or do is going to change the outcome or make them care, you're wrong. You want to get real revenge? First thing, shut the fuck up. 2, bet on yourself. You gotta go win in silence. You gotta take all of this energy, this anger that you have, and put it into work. Hit the gym hard. Do the things that make you great. Do the things that make you happy. So that when they hit you in the DMs 2 years from now, and they're like, "Oh, long time no see, how you been? You look so good." Then you can tell them, shut the fuck up. But really, I want you to get to a point where you could forgive them, because you don't even care anymore, because you have surpassed them. And I promise you, if you put the work in, you will get to that point, and they will come back. But it all comes down to how much work you want to put in. That's revenge.
Come over here. Come over here. No, you. Come over here. Okay, pop over. Okay, so he's looking at the ground already. He's tense. Can you see how tense he looks right now? Okay, so, okay, say hello to the audience.
Hello.
Okay, so his voice can't project. And by the way, I hate to say it, you guys just insulted him, by the way. Do you want to know how I would work on him, by the way? Do you want to know what I'd really do? I'd make him so uncomfortable that he'd move into a higher status behavior because he goes for safety. He's trying to hide at the center of the tribe. So if I make your life completely miserable, and then I re-anchor that to when you actually are better, because this little low status thing is hiding. You're hiding. What are you hiding from?
Honestly, I was talking to like 2 other guys at first.
2 other guys?
Yeah, like that one time when I told you we were going to the beach to watch the sunset.
No.
With my family.
No.
I kissed a dude.
No. Remember that one time me and your cousin went to go get ice cream?
If you want to be toxic, here's a good texting tip. Isn't that special someone's birthday? Well, then this one's for you. You're going to message them saying, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry for your loss." Don't give any context. That's lame. You're going to think about every single person in their life that's on the brink of death. So now it's no longer their special day. It's their special day to figure out who died. Go forth and blossom, young ones.
Oh, come on. There's like 250,000 likes on this video, but let's face it, there are a lot of toxic girls out there, and Emma and Emily have been the top used name in the last 3 decades, so this is not fair. That's the defense to my name. I rest my case.
Drop the roof and let the smoke clear.
Alright, so you're either going to love this one or you're going to hate it. And if you hate it, it's probably because you need to hear it most. Alright, I'm just going to come out and say it, but I don't want to be with a woman who wants to be in a relationship. You know what? I'm going to take it up a notch. And I'm going to say that I am turned off by women who want to be in a relationship. I'm going to take it up a notch even more. I'm going to tell you that most men who are worthwhile do not want to be with women who want to be in a relationship. And before you guys in the back who cannot cook your own meals start raising your hands, I'm going to say that I did mention and say worthwhile. All right? So men do not want to be with women who want to be in relationships. Men want to be with women who are in love with their own current lives, right? Who are in love with their single lives. Women who lead full lives. Women who have goals and dreams and aspirations, who go out and get them. Women who have interests and hobbies and they take care of their families. And women who are just, living full lives and are too busy, frankly, to be needing that relationship, to want to be in a relationship. Now, I'm not saying they necessarily don't want to be in a relationship, but they don't want to be in one either necessarily because they're already in love with their own current single lives. Now, it's also important to mention that these women have standards and these women have boundaries, all right? And these women date because they want to know new people. They want to grow by making new connections, all right? And they build friendships first before they see if any of these friendships grow to something bigger than that. Now, these women, they vibrate at such high frequency that their energy is literally infectious. They literally inspire men to want to be better, to do better in order to attract them. Men know that you already vibrate at such high frequency and you already are very happy with your life. You're already up here, right? And we need to do better in order to prove to you that if you give us a chance, we could make your life even better. Men don't want women who need to be in a relationship. Men want women who are in love with their single lives. Men want women who choose to be in a relationship with us specifically.
Points. And I'm the opposite. I'm gonna go and say I prefer having male bosses. I think women are very competitive. I believe that, women bosses, they'll try to kind of dumb people down so they stay on top, whereas men just they're already there, they know where they are.
Okay. All right. When women go on a date with a man, who do they prefer make the majority of the leading decisions during that date?
The man.
The man, definitely. Definitely.
If you ask me on the date, you should
have that shit planned out.
Yeah.
Tell me you're going to pick me up at 7. Don't ask me what I want to do. Tell me what you want to do.
Yeah.
So in a society where the majority of women prefer to have a man in a leadership role and make most of the decisions, is it any wonder why most leadership roles are held by men?
Definitely a wonder. I honestly think that's kind of like a gender role thing too. I feel like that's been a huge thing. Men get places a little bit easier than women. So when women get there, they work harder to stay.
But is it fair to say that maybe a lot of reasons why, men are kind of in leadership roles is because women want it that way?
Want it that way.
So do they have the right to complain about it if that's their preference?
Probably not.
I feel like if it's their preference, they're not going to complain though.
But it is their, once again, aren't we establishing that it is their preference?
Right.
But they're still complaining. So my question is, how do you reconcile the differences there? You know what I mean?
Wow. All types of different people. That's a good question.
Why do women often attack a man's masculinity when they don't get what they want?
Because that's the trick of old time, right? If you break a man down, then you have the key to controlling him. So it's easy for a woman to try to break a man down to make him feel like he's nothing, so she can even feel powerful. And that becomes just a keynote. That also becomes a sexist thing, because a lot of women feel like they need to be empowered. So if they're degrading a man to make them feel more empowered, that's a whole nother situation too.
Do you think women are more interested in love or power?
Power.
Why?
I think because if you control the power, you can control your love.
Me personally, love. Absolutely, love. I don't really. I'm okay with being a little lower if I'm respected and loved.
Okay. Are men more likely to use power to get sex, or are women more likely to use sex to get power?
Ooh.
I feel like it goes both ways.
I'm gonna vote the men one. I think men use power to get sex.
Okay,
It's
but
all an ego.
I think, would you acknowledge that it kind of goes both ways, though?
Absolutely, 100%.
If all the men in the world were gay, how would women get power?
Fuck each other.
Okay, since men aren't all gay, where do women actually get their power from?
Other women.
I can't go out. I'm sick.
First, don't waste his time. Just because he's a nice guy, he's going to do things for you, and you shouldn't let him if you're not interested in him. Number 2, recognizing your unhealthy habits. Okay, you're to the first step, but now what are you going to do about it?
Quick tip for men that nobody asked me for. Because I'm an expert. Yeah. This actually isn't just for men, this is for everyone. I just like saying that though. Have you ever been talking or dating, seeing somebody for a few weeks, maybe a month or two, and you felt like it was really gonna go somewhere? Things are just going so great, and then all of a sudden, the flame goes out. Communication starts to fizzle out, and then all of a sudden, you no longer hear from them anymore. The truth is, Cookie, you didn't do anything wrong. The routine communication just got boring. Good morning, beautiful, got Dolph on the 4th day in a row. If you don't have anything valuable to say midday, then don't. The occasional good mornings and the occasional, hey, I hope you're having a good day, that's allowed. But your communication doesn't have to be so repetitive. Yeah.
Well, what about modeling and like cosmetics and things like that? I mean, why isn't the same narrative true for both genders?
Because for far as modeling, the total has changed, because there's a lot of guys that's modeling now. Makeup wise, maybe because society, it was something that was meant to beautify women in a sense and not to beautify men. But now that we are in this free society, it's like it's fair game to everyone, because you got men wearing makeup too.
I think because men are I think they're more embarrassed to go into a field that's like predominantly women, and I think that they feel like they're going to be judged, which...
Well, don't you think that women are embarrassed to go into male-dominated fields because they're going to be judged?
Yeah, but...
So isn't that the same for both genders?
Yes, I mean,
really, we live in a world where you can't win no matter what you do, almost, because it just seems like no matter what you do, somebody...
You know, I got a little bit of game for my ladies. Stop trying to be black. And to the black women, stop letting these girls use y'all. I mean, do y'all even realize that they be using y'all? Anyway, I need to make y'all understand the system that y'all are modeling. The personality of the black woman was systematically created by the government by creating welfare, food stamps, all that type shit, Section 8, which incentivized women to put men out. Then they continue to not hire black men, but hire black women, so the black women would respect white bosses instead of the black husband, because he can no longer provide. See, they did that to destroy the black family. But the problem is, other women idolized it. So when that white girl on the table embarrassing her family, hot girl summer, dead that shit, because the world holds you accountable.
I made sure she was okay. I checked up on her all the time. I fucked up my sleep schedule on FaceTime till 2, 3, 4 a.m. in the morning. I got called a simp by all my friends for what I was doing for her. But no, I told myself I'm not a simp. You can't be a simp when you're in love with a person and that person is your girlfriend.
You a simp!
Right? But you know what she told me when she left me? Oh, you're too clingy. Time to go down. You know what? I don't really have feelings for you anymore. I don't love you anymore. Did you ever love me in the first place then? I don't want to hear that BS. Man, you should have just never wasted my time in the first place.
Advice. If you ever want to find out all of the racist ways you could possibly describe an Indian person, just date an Indian girl after breaking up with a white girl from Alberta. It's a true story. She called me up. She was like, I can't believe you're dating an Indian girl. I bet she smells like fucking curry. Like, Jesus. It's like, to be honest, I'd rather be with someone who smells like curry than be with someone who smells like mac and cheese marinated in vodka and cigarettes. You know? I mean, my Indian girl's family was lovely. I met 7 different cousins from 7 different uncles. Met my ex's family, met 7 different siblings from 7 different fathers.
I think for me, the hardest part about dating again is not overthinking every single time there's a little bit lapse in communication, or there's a tiny shift of energy where maybe the person is just busy and so they don't come off as sweet or as kind. Because it honestly sends me into like a fight or flight mode, because in the past those were like flags for me, letting me know that something actually was wrong. And in those situations, there was something wrong. Look at that light coming through. So I think it's really important to do a ton of self-reflection. I don't think that we're ever done growing or learning or trying to figure out who to be. Because we all have shit in our past that we've dealt with. And it's a lot of work. Fuck.
Hey amiga, so the other day I posted this video asking if your partner would stay with you if you decided to stop paying half the bills. A guy stitched it and he was like, oh, isn't this something that you're supposed to talk about with your significant other before you guys even start dating? He was like, I pay for my wife's everything, like I'm a sole provider, and that is something that we talked about before we even started dating. And I totally agree with him. I personally take relationships very seriously. I don't only look at the type of relationship I'm gonna hop into, but I also look at the type of husband he's going to be and the type of father he's going to be. Because like I say, a relationship can literally ruin your life. So as women, it's time we really start picturing our futures, how we want it to be, and what kind of person we want it to be with. Personally, I know what kind of mother I want to be. I want to be the hot mom that goes to the gym, that looks beautiful all the time, that is thriving in her feminine energy, that it's cooking beautiful meals, that keeps the house beautiful, that educates her children the right way, that is always there for her kids, that goes to every single one of their practices, that is there to love her husband. So for that to happen, I'm going to need a man that is going to be able to provide for me and the family so I can do all that for the family. Just like how my mother and father do it. A lot of women get into relationships, just, jump into relationships, may I say, and don't consider any of these things. So we all know modern man, and let's say they start dating a modern man and she says, oh, when we have a family, it's going to be different. When we move in together, it's going to be different. But they won't have the conversation. So when they start dating, she's gonna start paying, you know, half of whatever they do. If they go to the movies, if they go to a restaurant, and she's gonna be like, oh, you know, this whole 50-50 thing really isn't that bad. But then they move in together and she has to pay 50% of the bills and clean after him. The whole cleaning thing is a whole nother video. But yeah, they're like, oof, okay, whatever. And before they know it, the kids are going to come. And they will have to be working a full-time job, paying half the bills, taking care of the kids, feeding the kids and the husband, cleaning after the kids and the husband, maintaining a home, and doing all this. And that's when they're going to say, what the hell did I get myself into? That's when they're going to be trying to figure out ways to make the husband a provider. And yes, some men will turn into providers, but it's going to be a lot harder once he's already accustomed to only paying half the bills for years and years on end. Make sure you set the tone of the relationship from the beginning, and before even getting into a relationship, make sure you know what type of relationship you want to have. And make sure that your partner also has the same vision as you on what kind of relationship you want to have in the future.
I like you, have a cupcake. I like you, have a cupcake.
Smack my ass like the drum.
I like you, have a cupcake. I like you, have a cupcake. I like you, have a cupcake.
Great question. So I tell all of my clients that when you meet someone, you should date them for 60 to 90 days to really get to know them. That is the amount of time it takes for hormones to settle and for you to really get to know someone. With that being said, you need to make sure that in that 60 to 90 day time frame that they are staying in alignment with your non-negotiables. The 3 non-negotiables that I highly suggest you keep for yourself: 1, they pursue you at all times. 2, they make you feel safe, seen, and heard at all times. 3, they must be on the same level of commitment as you, which means if you want marriage and children, they need to want marriage and children. If you date someone for 60 to 90 days and they continue to stay in alignment with the non-negotiables and you're truly attracted to them, then you can have the conversation around exclusivity and commitment. If at any time you find yourself making concessions for those non-negotiables, then you need to get out. So that is my answer to that. 60 to 90 days, date someone. Anything after that, if you're truly in alignment and they are in alignment with the non-negotiables, then have the conversation about exclusivity and taking the relationship further. Now know if you're finding yourself making concessions for that person, if they're not truly in alignment with your non-negotiables and you're feeling the need to stay for the potential of what they could be, then that is you not honoring what you deeply desire in a relationship, and you need to get out. If you decide to get into a quote-unquote relationship with someone before the 60 to 90 day time frame, you need to ask yourself, am I getting in this relationship to fill the void of loneliness? Or is this person trying to push the relationship to fill the void of loneliness? And if the answer is yes, then that's truly a red flag. Someone that deeply honors you and honors your worth will wait 60 to 90 days and they will pursue you, and it will be a beautiful relationship. So that is what I suggest. Anything before the 60 to 90 day time frame is pushing it. I highly suggest really 90 days. And then you get to have that conversation with yourself. Are they meeting my non-negotiables? And if the answer is yes, you can move the relationship forward.